Hello, my lovelies. I'm just going to check, is this going live? I think it is. Okay, beautifuls. So today is the last day for the early bird, by the way, for the light language, if anybody is on the fence about it. So just letting you know, today is the last day of the early bird prices for those tickets. And the group is €88 until midnight tonight. After that, it's 115. So we have a lovely group set up as well. I am just noticing, I think my makeup's all over my face. But anyway, I had some sessions with clients today in between coming on live. Hello, Christy. And a lot of what has been coming up is safety and the presentation in the physical and emotional. When we follow the thread of energy back, it is usually because the belief and the emotion in the body that's stored is, I'm not safe. Now, any I'm not safe that has been, implanted within us from childhood is going to be hyperactivated right now, because most people's thoughts right now in the collective, and it is above 50%, maybe I'm making a judgment there, in the world, is around not feeling safe. Quite a number of people do not feel safe right now. And they're in the rabbit hole of alert, danger, the rabbit hole of thoughts around how do I keep myself safe, right? So you might even be picking that up, and it could be activating anything within you that has been unresolved, or reactivating any trauma, like a reactivation of trauma. So I'm coming on because some of the methods and techniques that can really help the safety aspects, and it's something I'm working on, is whenever I go into my own personal lie, it's like, what is not true about me? It was, I'm not safe to let down my defenses. I'm not safe to move forward. I'm not safe to speak. It was a very common one with me, and developed quite young in my childhood. And it affected most definitely my nervous system throughout my life. So we're going back into the automatic nervous system. The automatic nervous system controls the freeze, fight, flight. So you're sympathetic, and then you have your parasympathetic, which is your rest, digest, your restoration and rejuvenation. That is where we want to be. That is a space of homeostasis, equilibrium. It is a space of presence in the moment. It is a space of joy, of bliss, of manifestation, and of optimum health. So when I say optimum health, that means any disease can be healed in that state. Any dis-ease and disease. The body is a natural healer. It's its own natural physician. There is nothing that the body cannot heal when we are in that optimum state of healing, and we have the support we need biologically, physiologically, mentally, and emotionally, and spiritually. So this is not separate from anything. Like, the body is not, it's not like it's separate from the mind, and the mind is not separate from the body, and the body and the mind are not separate from the spirit and soul aspects or emotional aspects. So any one theory is neither fully correct nor incorrect, if that makes sense. But I'm going to speak a little around the polyvagal theory and some embodiment exercises to just get the body to perhaps open enough. And when we say that, open enough, and it's a practice. If you've been like that, which is where I was, that kind of like holding, that tense, that tightness, you think that's normal, by the way, because that was me. I thought it was normal. If somebody would ask you, do you have anxiety? I would be like, no, I didn't even know what anxiety was. Little did I know at the time when I was being asked by various people, because I do not present as anxious. Okay. My presentation was this. I'm fine. I'm not anxious. So I would never present as anxious, but the inside of me was wrought tight. So everybody presents differently. Some people may have physical presentations of anxiety or heightened nervous system. So if you're anxious, your system is most definitely heightened. By the way, you're in freeze, fight, flight, freeze. That sympathetic nervous system reaction. So not safe is often associated with anxiety. That's why I'm bringing in the anxiety. Some people call this maladaptive stress response. So it shows up as a maladaptive stress response. So the coping mechanism of the body, and some anxiety is not bad, obviously. It's there to keep us safe. It protected us from the saber-toothed tigers or the bears in the caves. The issue is when the body does not reset, when the mind continues to play loops or thoughts, and the body continues to store and repress, suppress, reject, any and all emotions. So there's never a full release. So if an animal gets chased by a saber-toothed tiger and it survives, right, it shakes the fear out of the body. Humans don't seem to do that. Either we've forgotten how, or we've been told not to. It's not appropriate to do that if you walk into a room and you get frightened to start shaking crazy, right? So whether it's through social conventions or culture, I don't know, but we need to find ways to reset, to improve coping mechanisms and bring tools in. And some of these tools that I'm going to talk about will be part of that. Meditation is one of them, by the way, but not all meditations are the same. So if you're looking for a particular meditation that would most benefit anything in the nervous system to do with the freeze, fight, flight, perhaps the usual type would actually bring you into of a more stress response, because when you close your eyes, you're not safe, right? You want to keep them open because your body's telling you to. Or when you move into breath and you really feel the body, you get a heightened sense of anxiety, so you'll stop. In other words, it'll re-trigger trauma within you if you're not ready to go there. And that is just simply a case of overwhelm. The body's still in overwhelm. So physical exercises first can help, and then moving into meditative practice. And it's everything's a process, right? It's not like you flip the switch and that's it, you're done forever. Personally, it's taken me a few years, right? And it's like if you're wrought like that, it's like you find something, you have a little release, and then you get something else, you add something else to your toolbox, so you keep practicing what you're doing, and it's a little more and a little more and a little more and a little more, and it's like, and I'm still in this, I'm still catching myself, right? Okay, so the idea is not to move into overwhelm. And right now there's a lot of spillage happening in the world as well, with fears being spewed. And when one has the activated nervous system that way, okay, when the body is activated in that way, when fears are rising up, when the maladaptive stress response is engaged, cognitive function decreases. So you don't make as clear decisions. It's hard to use discernment. What is true and what is not true, right? Discernment gets blurred. Digestive system lowers. Sleep becomes, if you are sleeping, you're probably having hyperactive vigilant sleep. So it's like the one eye open sleep. You're probably dreaming vividly, and that means you're not. And this is brainwave stuff. So everything's linked. Like, it's very hard to, and I'm not a doctor, right? So this is from my own experience I'm sharing. So if the brain is in, and we move through many different states in the day, in the brain wave, I'm not going to go too deep into that, but your normal brain wave state, which is focused and aware, is beta, right? Now that's the busy mind. If the nervous system is engaged, you're in beta brain wave, right? The other state of brain wave will be your meditative state, which is quite relaxed and serene, and that's alpha. But you're still aware. And then the next one underneath that is your theta, which is deep meditation. Deep meditation, where quite a lot of inspiration, creativity can come forth from. After that, you have the delta, and that's the deep restoration of sleep. If you're in theta all day long, every day, which is constantly vigilant, and mind is working. And this is around, you move through all these states, by the way, right? It's not like you're only in one, you're not, but there is a dominant state that you'll be in. If it's dominantly beta, you're not processing emotional gunk that's coming at you every day, or fears. And that means at night you will, which is why you might be having dreams of your teeth falling out, or running and falling off a cliff, or having kind of dreams that will give you physiological responses like beating heart, sweating, rapid breath, which is an overspill, right? It's an overspill of your day. So you're not getting the delta, which is like restoration and healing, the deep sleep that makes you look younger and fresh in the day. And that is, human growth hormone is secreted during that sleep. So everything is interlinked, and we forget that we are like a super highway. All of the highways cross over one another. There is no one thing that will restore your sleep. It may take a couple of different things, let's say, if your sleep is activated or not quite good right now. If you're feeling anxious, it may take one, it's not one thing. So looking at this as a whole is really important. And I am on this chat, because this is a whole course in itself, I'm only going to focus in on one or two things. So just bear that in mind, that it is a holistic approach that's needed. We can't ignore one thing over the other. During awakenings, during ascension awakening, we are bringing in way more, and this is the woo-woo part of it. Okay, I'm talking about the biological part and the physiological part. This is the woo-woo part. When we are integrating more light plasma, light codes, and if we look at, I'll get my water, right? And if we look at our cells like this, as in, there's water in the cell, let's say that's emotion stored within the body, and more light wants to come in. If you imagine that light, the whole hand going into this, it would displace the water, right? I'd have spillage. So any gunk that hasn't been released will create a reaction. So often ascension symptoms, when we're talking ascension symptoms, right, is that effect of the hand going right in and spilling the water over. So we can feel worse while we're going through an ascension symptom. The idea is that and another thing I said to one of my clients today is, as well, with this massive light coming through, and you're doing your healing and what have you, they're healers or they're Reikis, or they're calling forth that light as well. I'll try and find the words to kind of explain this. How I see this is, the nervous system to me, whenever I go in with the third eye, I see blue light. And when I go into the brain patterning and the neuron network in the brain, it always shows up to me kind of like in this luminous blue. And what I see with this is it gets very bright and activated. It gets even more. So you may have more anxiety as you're bringing in more light. And the reason that is we need to reset, but we've been overwhelmed. And we have the traumas that we need to recognize and acknowledge. We're being brought to a space of, we no longer can ignore it. We no longer can hide from it. We are here to acknowledge, recognize, integrate, release, and move through it. We can't hide from anything anymore, especially if you're working as a light worker, or whatever word you want to use as that, if you want to integrate more of light. Which is why in my light language course, I focus on trauma. I focus on resetting your nervous systems. Because if they're already fried and I bring you into a light language workshop, right, you've got to reset, integrate, allow the language to heal you and that frequency to heal you as you work through your issue, as you work through the trauma or whatever it is you were holding on to. So it's a deeply integrative, holistic approach that's needed when we're doing energy healing work. Okay, I went off on a little rant that side of it, so I'm going to come back around again. And resetting the nervous system is crucial to feel safe in the body. It's not the mind that controls this. It is the body that tells you you're not safe. It's not, you might think it's the mind. So people might use affirmations like, I am safe. And I tried this, right? I would say, like, breathe in, I do my breathing, I'd be like, I'm safe, it's okay, come home me, I'm safe. But there was another part of me in my body going, you're not fucking safe. You can't let it go. So it was like I would have to go, well, what is this? And it was the body stuff, not the mind. It was the body. I may have had a belief, but the body was telling the story. The body was holding on to it. So it is about embodiment. When we are working as healers, as light workers, and we want to expand, and we want to be creative and manifest, we're here not to be separate from the body or transcend the physical. And that is a very, I feel, old and outdated teaching. We are here to embody the light within the physical vessel, the temple. And that is the walking master. Like, that's what they did. They were the embodiment of truth source in the physical. So that's what we're here to do. And that's how we anchor the light. That's how we anchor it. And that's how we get activated and activate others. That's how this shift happens. So we need to go to the body. The feeling unsafe, when we're feeling unsafe, this is the loop. I feel unsafe. I'm unsafe. Something's happened in childhood. Something's happened in the now. I feel unsafe. The mind speeds up, and this is to protect you. So you're hypervigilant. And it wants to think its way into safety. In other words, what do I do to protect myself? The door closed. So the mind will move into a heightened aspect. That will create a response in the physical because it'll get overwhelmed with not feeling safe, and it will then cause a disconnection, a separateness. So what happens is we disconnect. This is the loop, right, of unsafe. You disconnect from your body, and therefore you don't feel unsafe. Because really you're disassociated, or you've numbed out, or you've rejected the physical. And this is when issues, not all the time, but this is what happened with me anyway, when physical issues present, so you get sick, your immunity is dropped, you create a disease within the mind or the body physical, emotional disease disorder, addictions, all of these things, because you're disconnected. And then you don't feel safe again. And then the mind speeds up again. Like, it's a vicious loop. It's a vicious loop. So we need to put a stop in somewhere along that loop so we come home. Okay, so what are some of the tools and techniques that we can use for that? We reprogram the physical body, not just the brain. Okay, you can only get so far with reprogramming and rewiring your brain if your physical body isn't going to be on board with it. What'll happen is the trigger will happen and it'll reactivate the whole thing all over again. You're like, oh my God, I'm back to the start. Well, really, it was like it didn't get in where it needed to go in, essentially, where you needed to have a focus on, which is the body stuff. And literally, guys, girls, ladies, like when I first started this journey, I brought my body to a certain point of, I'm not dying anymore. Because I was. Right? It was like, I've healed myself to such an extent of, I'm no longer going to die. But then I was like, that's enough. Okay, thank you. And I went off and I went into the other realms, which was another form of disassociation. I didn't realize I was doing that because I didn't know any better. Like traveling astrally and speaking to these things and da-da-da-da. And all that's great. It's all part of the awakening. But my next phase was to actually, you got to embody this stuff right now. So it was like coming back in. I'm still in that. I'm not going to say I've this mastered. So what I'm sharing with you has been my own journey into this. It doesn't mean it's the only one. It is one that has worked for me so far, and sometimes I hit a roadblock and I find another way. A lot of this is practice, and this is one thing I buck against. I've spoken about it before, is like discipline and me. I don't like that word. Right? So devotional practice for me is what I like. I like that word, or routine. Even routine, I was like, me. Devotional practices. So in the same way as a meditation, like 5 and 10 minutes a day is better than 1 hour a week. Like, it's creating a practice, because what you want is entrainment to happen. You entrain the body into a space of allowing. So then it opens and it suddenly creates a space, and then the brain lets go as well. You entrain the brain to release the grip it's holding on to, which is, if we're talking about safety, I'm not safe, right? Release the grip. So a really good technique is breath work, first of all, embodiment exercises, sensing the body, flowing with what it's feeling, rather than distracting or trying to push through a feeling. You're just allowing and accepting. So there's different techniques you can use to do this. And when you're in that acceptance, because really common one with me was, but I want to be done with it now. So I would, I'll do the work. It's my face, I'll do the work. I'll do the work and I'll push through it and I'll follow the steps 1, 2, 3, 4. And then at the end, I wasn't getting the goal, because I would always have a goal, desired result, and then I would get frustrated. And that would make me actually go right back into this. So frustration and anger is like, can you relax down into that, allow it? Because that's the resistance, and we can create a fight within ourselves while we're in this healing. I'm bringing attention to that because I literally did it yesterday. Was it yesterday before? Definitely recently, where I caught myself doing it again. Oh, the fun of it all. Barbara, hello, you've registered for the light language class. You did. I'm actually going to create an email after this and send it out to everybody with some deets. Yay! All right, let me see. This is about really coming home into the physical body. I mean, it's all linked in with self-love as well, isn't it? It's all linked in with communication, because if we are only having a focus on a certain type of communication, let's say being someone who's a bit more woo-woo, if I'm only communicating with source or higher self or, you know, the angels, the dragons, whatever, I'm only creating one access point of communication, which is what I did do, you see, right? And I'm ignoring a certain aspect. That's what I did do. I would have ignored a little bit more the physical body communication. And I'm still like working through this, by the way. So when we talk about communication to all, we are deep listening within the body. And that can be very uncomfortable when we start doing that, because actually you can heighten the uncomfortableness within you. So that would be the anxiety, the pain, the trauma, whatever it is, can feel more heightened because you're listening. You're no longer disassociating or numbing from it. Often in sessions with people, when we're like, you know, exploring what needs to be worked on, and let's say there's like, oh, my shoulder's been a bit tight, and then that is what we will work through. They'd be like, oh my God, it's getting way worse. It's just because, well, now we're listening. What does it need to say? What does it need? And then you do the process on it, it's released, and you've let go of something that you've been holding on to for 20 years. So that's caused a physical issue, right? So this is what we're looking at. It's about connection, because often if we have anything like that, there's always been a disconnection. And we're all about, this is the soul journey. How far away from source can I get before, right? How far away can I get before things get so bad? Even I'm feeling so forgotten. Things don't work my way. I don't feel loved, before I make a shift and a change, transformation, choice, and start working my way back to me and coming in again. And this is a soul expansion journey, because when you start doing that type of work, you don't just bring the part of you that went away, you're bringing the part of you that was left in all the lifetimes that happened to. So you don't just expand by, let's say this is 10%, you're expanding by 110% once you bring that home. And that's a part of the journey people kind of forget. You might have lost this, it came in, but it came in with a bucket load more of that light, which is why this is such a fascinating field to journey to be on. Hi, Jean. Hi, Marie. Okay, so meditation. Let's look at this. I'm actually asking a question in my head right now. I'm going to ask it out loud. Do I talk a little bit about meditation, or do I talk a little bit about some exercises to reset your nervous system? I think I'm going to start with meditation, because I don't know how much time I have, and I might have to come back and finish this up tomorrow because I have another session coming up. So meditation is not just about, it's not like a religious practice, right? It's not about that. It's not just something to stop your mind thinking, because that's not true. Your mind can still think in meditation. It is not just true that only a few and certain people can do it, like the Buddhist monks on the mountains, right? It is not something that you have to practice a million years to be able to do, or 20 years to be able to do. And it's not some weird state that is not going to be able to be used in your normal life. Okay, so they're like, it's for everybody. Is what I'm saying. Meditation is, and there are different forms, and some forms may sync with where you're at on your journey at a particular time, and some of them may not be suitable for where you're at in your journey, let's say at this particular time. And there is no right and wrong, but it's about finding what you need and what resonates with you and developing that practice then. And then at a certain stage, when you feel you've reached that and you want to go explore different aspects, you can do that. You can find different ways to suit you. So let me see on some of my notes what I will talk about with that. Okay, so you have your mantra meditation, your transcendental meditation, where you say a mantra over and over and over. And what you're doing is you're occupying your conscious mind, and it's busy with that instead of creating thoughts around what do I need to buy for dinner or what did so-and-so say. So you're occupying the mind, and mantras have different tones and frequencies that can create altered states as well. So, these can create states within, because the vibration itself will help the body release, relax, or bring you into an altered state. Is that great? Is that a really, really, really good meditation to use when you have maladaptive stress disorder? Maybe, maybe not. It might not be the best one to start with. It's not to say it doesn't have a purpose. It does. It's just if you are in a very heightened state, perhaps not. So it has a place, and they're very powerful, but maybe not for that, because it can in fact heighten even more without giving you a resolution if you need it, because it could end up creating cycles within cycles. You have your intention-based guided visualizations. These tend to be what I do, and they can cultivate a certain state within the body as well. They have a place. They're good, but they're also not the best for a maladaptive stress response, okay? The next one you have would be hypnosis or suggestion meditation. And again, I do that. I practice that. I'm a quantum hypnosis. But for maladaptive stress response or anxiety issue stuff with a heightened awareness, that would not be what I would recommend, okay? So it has its space, and there's a need for it, but it's not the best one. For me, what I feel is the best type of meditation to get into, if you need and want to develop a practice in that, to reset your nervous system, it would be a body-based practice, because it's about embodiment. The body is what needs the focus and attention. So you would use breath work, body scan, you would do certain exercises, so physical exercises. You would have the toning, the vagal exercises as well. And these are often, if you go to polyvagal theory, you'll even find them online. Some of the ones that I do with my group, they help reset, particularly anything around here, and the eye movements, because the optic nerve is linked in with the vagus. You would do those. They help reset. Tapping, 5-element theory tapping on the meridian, same thing. So you can create a meditative practice around using and integrating these type of techniques. Very good for anybody with maladaptive stress response, or needs the reset of the nervous system. I'm not going to do those today. I'm just talking about it. Okay, so if you want me to do something like that, post in the comments if you're interested to know more, and I can probably make videos and post them, where I'll go through certain ones that I've used that have worked for me. I don't share all of them in my groups, but I can, I've had to. I had physical issues where I had to do these techniques or I was going to die. So these techniques have made a massive difference. Humming, singing, swimming, certain breath techniques, all of these help reset. It is not just about that though. The physical body needs nutrition and foods. If the nutrition is out of whack as well, and what tends to happen is when your nervous system is in heightened alert, your digestive system does not have blood anymore. Essentially what happens is like everything is withdrawn into the mitochondria, the powerhouse. They're not working properly. All of the energy goes into danger alert, danger alert, danger alert. So you don't have any digestion that's correct. So you're not absorbing your minerals or your nutrition, which means you cannot uptake your oxygen and your nutrients to your cells, which means you have less energy and a weakened immune system. And what happens is you end up with deficiencies as well, even if you're eating correctly. Excuse me. And especially if you're not eating correctly, you may more than likely have gut issues too. Foggy brain stuff happens with that. And digestive system issues. And you may develop allergies or sensitivities to certain food groups, partly because of this, candida overgrowth, fungus, parasites. All of these things then have a home to move within the body. So even while you're resetting your nervous system, there's a support structure that needs and wants to be put into place. And I'm no expert in this. This is what I needed to do for me, right? I had a team I was working with to do this. So you may need to go and see a nutritionist. You may need to go and check into even using kinesiology to see, am I deficient in? I did this with my brother at the weekend, what was going on with his body. And you check in, what am I deficient in? Vitamin K, vitamin da. And then you bring in your supplementation, your natural foods as well. Noticing what your body can tolerate. If it's in an overdrive, it's not going to tolerate certain foods or exposures. So distractions, exposures, Wi-Fi, looking at screen time too much, being around certain people. I love you, people. I love your mom, I love your dad, I love your sister, I love your brother. But right now, my nervous system can't handle you. Don't know if you'd say it like that, right? But yeah, there is a time and a space, and tuning in, there's no right and wrong, but tuning in with your boundary stuff at this stage may be important for the help of your reset. So I'm doing a really general talk on this, but just to recognize it's so holistic. Everything is. With what's happening in the world right now, and I don't know if this is a premeditated thing, but they're super, super smart in how to activate people's nervous systems into overdrive. And when I say they, I'm talking governments and mass media, because of the continuous bombardment via even Facebook, via Instagram, via your newspapers, via your radio stations, that type of information and the hypnotic use of words, NLP, and I do this stuff, so I'm telling you, this is what's going on, okay? This is definitely happening. The use of certain words that have a particular vibration to lock in and open you to fear and to other energetic signatures that will not serve you in any way blows my mind. Blows my mind. And the continual use of certain phrases, and that's hypnotic suggestion, by the way, right? Spike. Okay, I'm gonna tell you, they're using, it's amazing. I don't know if they're conscious of this, but I'm like, oh my God, they're literally programming people to be afraid. Whether it's true or not true is not the issue. But the creation of fear to what? What is that for? To create a maladaptive stress response. And I did mention earlier, when anybody is in a maladaptive stress response, their cognitive functions reduce. This is a biological fact. I'm not a doctor, but it's biologically a fact. You can look it up. When your cognitive functions, and you may think you don't have this because it's the boiling frog effect. I'm getting a little because this is what riles me when I see it going on. The boiling frog effect is you put a frog in boiling water, it jumps out. Its nervous system saves it, and that's what's supposed to happen. But you put a frog in cold water, and you gently, gently turn up that heat bit by bit by bit by bit. That frog won't jump. It will boil to death. Because each time you slowly do that, and you increase the temperature, it thinks that's the new normal. So its body's not registering I'm at danger. It's thinking that's normal. And this is what I said at the very start when I was being asked, are you an anxious individual? I would be like, no, I don't know. I'm the most relaxed person going. I have no idea why my body's shutting down. Like, I would literally be like this, saying that, because when we're in that state, a part of us actually goes out and we're allowing ourselves to be boiled to death like the frog. Because you have disassociated, or you've numbed out, or that is that loop we talked about. I'm not safe, so mind speeds up. Disassociation, disconnect. So that's the programming that is happening. And that actually is from polyvagal theory. Like, you could go to theories that talk about this and you can see how you can apply that theory to what we're seeing going on in the world right now. And it's not about what's true or not true, but definitely what is happening is then, where is discernment involved? Because if cognitive functioning is lowered, nobody even knows that that's what's happening with them. How can they be held accountable then for the decisions they're making? Or the fear that they're looping? And then that discussion with the overactive throat chakra of spikes of this, they're perpetuating a loop. And when 50% or more of a population think a certain way, you create a timeline. And in that timeline, as our consciousness works, you will perpetuate the very fears that you were afraid of and create them. Even if somebody else doesn't believe it around it, they'll observe you creating that fear. You'll recreate. Now, that's in the energetic sense. In the biology sense, you're really firing off your whole systems. So kids, and I talked about kids earlier, when they're in households that even there's no conscious awareness that the person is in that, like, they're not aware they're in that state. They think life's just going on as normal. They probably have some anxiety and they recognize that. They're probably sick and tired of effing lockdown. But they're not realizing that energetic state around them is really big, and kids are going to sponge it in. And they won't know what to do with that. So what will they do? They'll sponge it in and they'll monkey see, monkey do. They reenact the same sequence. And that's what's happening right now to a lot of kids around the world. I need to take a breath with this one. And what needs and wants to happen to reset their systems is a whole other topic. But that will most definitely need to be brought to schools. Like, do teachers know how to do this? Do parents know? How will they be shown, be taught? And I'm not an expert. Like, literally, I'm telling everybody I'm no expert in this. I've just experienced it firsthand and had to learn how to do it for me. Or I wouldn't be here anymore. Right? So what needs and wants to happen for that is just a question I'm asking. So, right, body practices to reset the nervous system. This is around feeling the sensations in the body. And I Love You Me is a really good technique for that. The EH process is a good technique for that. Embodiment exercises and practices, where just breathing and allowing your hands to move across the body and talking to certain aspects of the body, having conversations, really good for that. Humming, singing, toning, gargling, head under cold water, so cold water therapy with the head and certain breath movements, all awesome stuff. Dance movements, very good. Special exercises to reset the vagal nerve that you can look up online, excellent. All of these things are there. They can take 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. For instance, like reset of the vagus nerve, ones can take 30 seconds per eye, right? How willing are you to allow yourself to reset? How willing are you to, and how ready are you to implement these devotional practices into your everyday? I still need them. I miss a few days and I know it. Like, I still need these. I bring them in most days if I can. If I don't, I know it. I recognize it. Because I'm still in entrainment. I'm still in training my own body and my mind. So I'm in it too, right? I'm sharing this because this information is available online. And this can be shown to kids if you have kids. You can sit with them, have conversations with them, talk about what is it they're feeling. What are they sensing around them? What words do they need help with to form how that is? How do they show you that in their body? Mommy, I'm feeling XYZ here. Does it feel good? Does it feel not so good? How would you show it your thumb? What's going on in your body? Like, find ways of communication depending on the age level of the child. And check in, because like me, they might be going around like that. Everything's fine. But really, there is something going on underneath the surface. The ones that are like this are probably the ones you need to watch out for most. At least the ones that are saying they're not feeling great. At least there's an open dialogue already there. Physical touch that has been denied, facial expressions, tonal, what's the word? It's not incantation, but fluctuations in tone, which is muffled now because you can't hear the tone again, right? So you're not hearing certain inflections in tone, and that conveys emotion to people, right? So kids are losing all these types of cues. How are they going to learn that? They're missing 2 years of their life so far of that. So what needs and wants to happen with that? I'm asking these questions, like, especially for children with special needs. Cues are very important for them. What kind of cues are they getting via physical touch, facial expression, and tonal inflections? And how can that help? How can we help them with that? I've gone off on a totally different slant again, but I am asking all these questions. If anybody needs and wants a video, let me know on anything specific that I have mentioned, because this isn't like a, I've kind of gone general in this. I'm going to pull a card and just see what energies need and want to happen. And as I do so, I'm going to open my own body self, because talking about the kids gets me riled. So not as much as before. I think I told you when I made that video before, I was like, I felt powerless. I don't have kids of my own even, so who am I? I had all this, like, who am I to be even talking about it? But I'm like, feck it, I need to talk about it. Right, so where I was feeling that when I was talking about, of course, this is in my heart space. I was feeling it here. And what is in this space is the higher heart, but it's also the thymus gland. Also linked to your nervous system, right? Thymus gland. To reset and recalibrate and calm the system down, tapping on this for more than 30 seconds is set to help and bring down and calm the body. And as you breathe, as you tap, open, soften the sitting space. Notice, are you holding in the urethra, the back passage, the perineum, or if you're a lady, your private parts? There is one other methodology. I've used so many methodologies. Like, I've tried and tested everything: acupuncture, craniosacral, TRE, the tapping, all the processes. Right? I have tried and tested everything, and they all have a benefit. There is no one thing that didn't. But I will say the recent one I was working with has been TRE, which is a tremor release through breath work. And it's not a talk therapy, it's simply the body recognizing where it's held in emotion and then tremoring to release, just like animals. So if you want to look that up, have a look up online. It's TRE. Breath work can have a similar effect, of course, as well. They all have their place. Anybody with tight jaw, grinding of the teeth, tension in the face, just open and relax that. Horse lips, air blowing through, softening of the throat, softening of the chest, softening of the belly as you're doing this. This is really good for women and the pelvic floor. Right, so like 4, 5, 10 of these help with opening the pelvic floor, which in turn helps with the cervix, which in turn helps with the vagus nerve because it stops in the cervix, and also into the diaphragm. Right. These are all weird things, but I swear they work, right? Now you might want to stretch the body. I'm going to pull a card and bring in some light language that needs and wants to come through. Let's not forget the simple one that's free. Nature. Nature, being in nature. The best reset for your nervous system ever. Okay, Kirim tak ahashabara avaya halakare sunuma atavare tika chema atrokum tik ehle shewa asha toro ata tira atraktum iti avasiya tere kara mananarite adakat atkumt iti balahasara ha, and let your own sigh come out. Like breathe in. Notice when you breathe, do you force the breath? Are you doing labor breath? Are you in labor when you breathe? Just soft, like a symphony. Right? If you're a conductor in a symphony, let the breath come to you like that symphony. It's on notes. You don't need to beat it like a drum. You just let it come. You just be aware of the sensations. Bring the awareness back to the body all the time. If you have an issue with disassociating and you go off up into energy, which is what I was always doing, right? Notice, let me work with Divine Feminine, the energy, and I'm going off. And that has its place. But if you're doing embodiment work, that's not what you want to happen. So you want to be present. How do you be present? If you close your eyes and you just tend to drift off, like I usually do, right? That would be a thing. I would close my eyes and I would just go off up into the realms and I'd be traveling through time and space. So when I'm really doing embodiment work, I want to focus on being here, present in the body, and not my go-to of like that. Because that's a gift, but also it can be a hindrance. So I open my eyes and I will look around the room, being present. I will use a focus point. And I will notice, if I daydreamed, where did I go? Come back, right? So I want to keep the attention on the body, and it's still here for me in this space. And breathe. And come in. Gia taraku yetena tenema isiyete aqua ikiatara naisiye alakari siriutu amata ikrata ishamati kaneke turmaka yetela sarchina matorutko yemaka ishi nara tarakochi yata tanemese amokuro tsaye jaraka tu yesitala Isa, moyese, kataratania sevra kasana tu masu amanaye. All right, so I'm getting the dragon cards want to be pulled. Vanaye tira chiri vada ati akihe. Interesting. This got pulled in a session with a lady earlier. And this is the black dragon from Saturn. Now, Saturn is balancing of the masculine and feminine. And this is about bringing you wisdom through spiritual devotional practices. It actually uses the word discipline as well. I really need to work on my word discipline. So practices. What practices are you doing as you move through your ascension process? What practices are you doing embodiment-wise? It's kind of what we're just talking about. It's a practice. Everything that we are doing is a practice. How consistent are we? So this is focus on your ultimate vision. Congratulate yourself because you passed the test. Archangel Gabriel is associated with this, and it's also root chakra, safety. Root chakra. Oh my God, I'm getting a whole thing of burping. By the way, that's me releasing energy when I'm burping. So root chakra is safety, security, what we were just talking about at the very start. So this is a confirmation of come home to the body, safety, security. I'm bringing in the pure crystalline light of Archangel Gabriel to help with that, and a sun dolphin, we'll invite them in as well. Now Gabriel is also associated with expression. So we're talking throat chakra stuff here. Expression is also the creative expression that wants and needs to move through heart space, so it's aligned with the authentic truth of you. Last night I did a throat chakra who had Gabriel as well, right? A throat chakra meditation transmission, so you can have a look at that one. There was some embodiment exercises in there too. So Gabriel, funny enough, is coming through around the embodiment exercises and around root safety and expression. And this is a big thing in the world right now. We're here to find our voice, our truth. Right now more than ever in this whole shebang that's going on. And how are we showing up in that expression? How safe do we feel to do that? Because we will be met by stuff that won't make us feel safe, right? Judgment, projections. Okay. But this is the thing, you're always going to get that. You're always going to get that. So how many tools do we have in our box to move and shift through that so we don't move into any state of overwhelm? We reset when we need to. That is like, that's mastery right there. Because we're going to move through, what is the word? Move through the mountains that can be put in our path or that are in the path as part of the journey, but that will take us to take accountability, self-responsibility, and self-regulate. Not wait for somebody else to do it for us, or wait for somebody to be using their voice first, or wait for some savior. We're here to save self always first, obviously, but create safety within our bodies first so that we can be the true expression of ourselves, no matter what's happening outside. The inner world is the world. It creates the outer, right? That's the perception. And when more than two get together in this way, we will create a ripple. Let me see what it says in the book by the dragon. This guy's great, right? The first dragons I ever worked with were black dragons, and I worked with them a few years ago when they came through, and they moved. It was always the infinity symbol they worked with me. They would use the Trinity now and again, but the infinity symbol was massive. And the infinity symbol is the harmonizer, the balancer. And I'm inviting that in right now for all of our physical bodies to be recalibrated and balanced during this transmission. So black dragons here indicate the feminine energy of rest, rejuvenation, restoration, what we're talking about with the reset of the nervous system, and calm and peace. They work with Archangel Gabriel, and this angel is in charge of the base center as well as the throat center. They also carry the pure violet flame of transmutation. The violet flame is also associated with Saint Germain and Lady Portia. So this appears to address tasks with devotional practices, discipline, and focus. It's vital to ground higher energies that are coming through along our pathway. So they give us focus, concentration, determination, and the ability and awareness to plan and stick to routines or practices as necessary. I mean, this is literally everything we just talked about. Okay, this is a confirmation card. This card indicates your feet are planted on your ascension path and you are doing everything for the highest good of all. This dragon also brings you a little nod of the head, a little tip of congratulations from the angelic world. You've passed any test that you're undergoing and celebrate your success as you step forward with your integrated practices, with your integrated devotional practices and discipline, as well as with joy and bliss. So that's this card. How interesting is that? So let's bring through that dragon. Oh, let me see. Dia saraktumana shitra itika shalai. Ora yelia krautura saira kvo. Anima kwai lakarakai kik antka ut antk e la sarakata ayala kalimaraku. Ima shoitra tra tikava nama tu. Breathe in. They're saying take 3 deep breaths in. And they'll work through coming up your sacral space. They're going to come up from the bottom of you, your base, and let them move through you. Vima Shava Kirat Rimana Kutrovai Ammayeteo Sumye. Keep breathing like let your own breath and dragon breath come out. Ma. Let the dragon come through you. Kiala samudra kwaro. Siva mana savarete reka boro to. Ila sakadrakam. Amdiete manasoto. Naye lehelia. I see hot adrenals, like I'm getting burning in the adrenals. Let's calm them down with peace and breath. Breathe in. That beautiful white crystalline light will come through and reset your adrenals as well. Those overfired adrenals. Amnyao Vayaseyao Amnya Tia Kantana Seya Turasie Mayao Vashama Kete Alaka Sundura Atai. And soften on your out breath. Just make sure you're not holding in your urethra or your back passage. Soften it. Let it go. All right. No more beating now. There's a lot of control stuff you see that goes on with this. And why do we control? We control because we don't feel safe. It's always coming back to this. We control because we want to create safety around a certainty. So invite the breath to allow you to surrender, to give yourself permission to let it go. And start that resetting of your nervous system. And that'll also reset the hormonal systems within your body. Connect you into the physical to allow the restoration, the delta sleep to happen, the restoration and healing, increase the immunity. And allow the kidneys to hold on to that chi that it needs every day. That's the Chinese fight medicine aspect of it. So allowing it also relaxes the diaphragm to actually take that deeper breath. Because the shallow, like caught breath to here kind of a thing is again because the nervous system's in the fight, flight, freeze. Let it out, let it go. Breathe, receive. Come home. And that is it for today. Thank you. Let me see. Olivia, you're softening your tissues with hands, yeah? So a lot of you that work with me know that I get you to massage parts of your body. Surrender points are in your shoulders. You can massage there. Right, these points here. Surrender points. Oh, right. Surrender, you let go. Let it out. Sonia, you're a solo mom of a special needs child and own self-care is important. Oh God, yeah. And we always speak about our feelings, do exercise to bring out any dense energies. Right, that's amazing. That's amazing. That's like make you be present too, isn't it? Because with any kid anyway, all children, no matter if they're special needs or not, if the mommy or daddy, I'm not talking about being home or not, I mean being home in the body, presence in the body, they will know they'll act out to make you be present. They'll act out. Their energy will go a bit haywire if you're not present. And a lot of, this is, again, I can only speak from my personal experience, so I'm not saying this is true or to upset anybody. I worked with special needs kids. I grew up with special needs kids in my home. So We had Downs and we had autistic, and if anybody, let's say, was anxious or angry, they would match that emotion and have a outburst. That was what would happen. There would be an outburst. And you mightn't see it that day, it could be the next day, but they pick it up, like they'll pick everything up. So being present and the release and personal care when you're working with or caring for, and then it's really hard because you're on your own. Like, it's really hard if you don't have time to yourself as well. So I love you. Well done. It's not easy. Support is so important. Support is so important, and I feel that's partly why I've put a link in the other live to that Facebook page that wants to go and help kids and all types of kids. It takes communities. It really does. Takes communities. Oh, Tara, you're here. I didn't know you were here. Anybody that doesn't know Tara Love Perry, please go and add her as a friend right now. She has a Facebook group called I Love You Me Community. Now, Tara is instrumental. She is instrumental in my healing journey and in me being where I am today, to be honest. Tara has a technique called I Love You Me. It's part of what I mentioned it already in this live, and it's one of the techniques of embodiment I talked about and breath work. It can be used with kids, and Tara's writing a book for kids right now that is going to help them connect in with themselves, exactly what we're talking about. So she's one of these ladies at the forefront of this movement right now, and if any of you want to join that community, just go and have a look for it, I Love You Me Community, and add yourselves into it, because a lot of the content in there is for self, but she will be dropping in stuff around her books coming out. I know she's in the middle of writing it, so I can't tell when it's going to be, but it would be something I would be behind 100% with what this lady is doing. So thank you, Tara, for being you, and I love you. Barbara, yeah, it was the perfect card, wasn't it? All right, my loves, I'm going to leave it at that for tonight. Thank you so much for joining me. Please tag people that may. I know a lot of information was given in this, but the clearing at the end was there too. And perhaps I will do separate videos on certain embodiment techniques that have helped me, and I can share them. Yes, Barbara, add yourself into Tara's group, and please check out her book, right? Tara, I mean, I have this book. It's in France, so I don't have it with me here. That book is called I Love You Me, and it's on Amazon. And the book itself is incredible. It has exercises in it, and it has kind of a story effect of, you know, personal stories for people. But the way Tara writes is incredible, and the way she gives information is incredible, because it allows you to see how, from the inner child perspective, how you can acknowledge what it is that's happening within you, how you can bring forgiveness if you're holding on. She's got keys that will unlock eons of stuff within our generational lines, our karmic stuff, and the here right now, and she'll call you back home. This book is incredible. It has a workbook as well if you want to check that out as a first step in that type of connection. I recommend it to my clients. So yeah, it's really good. So it's on Amazon. It's called I Love You Me as well. That's the methodology and the process. So yeah. And right now I've got 3 spots left if anybody wants to work with me one-to-one. If you would like that extra support right now and have that one-to-one support, message me and I'll give you that. And of course, I'm opening the doors next week to my light language group. So in the light language group, I do touch on this, because you cannot bring in source codes and have a fried nervous system. Okay, so we bring ourselves into a state of healing, and then bring in the codes, and we activate the light language. So it's not just about learning light language. Okay, it's a deep restorative process that you move through. It's a sacred healing space. It's an acknowledgement and remembering of who you truly are. So that's the truth of it. All right, my loves. Mwah! I will post the links to all of these after I come off the live. All right, bye, darlings. Bye bye.